There's been a ton of news about running backs recently. And if you've been living under a rock, let me get you caught up to speed. I don't know what that was about. Anyway, running backs are being severely underpaid, and their time in the league is getting shorter and shorter. They're putting up thousands of yards, taking quite possibly the worst physical abuse of any position, and then they're out of the league by the time they're 30. Sometimes the only contract they're seeing is the rookie contract. So it doesn't matter if they put up 0 yards or 5,000, they're not going to ever get compensated fairly for their production or for the beating they take and all the sacrifices they make for their health. The reason I'm making this video is because I've seen some absolutely silly takes, just outright ridiculous. People saying running backs are going the way of the dodo, they're going to be like fullbacks where the position just stops existing. It doesn't seem to make any sense to me. I mean, multiple teams are still willing to draft running backs in the first round. For example, Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs were both drafted in the top 12 picks. So what's going on? Why is there still high demand for rookie running backs, but no demand for veteran running backs? Before we get into that, I want to talk about a bunch of running backs got together, they started a group chat, and they even had a Zoom call last week. And from that Zoom call, one of the running backs said one of the ideas they had was to eliminate positional franchise tags. So that way, there's only one salary if a player gets franchise tagged, regardless of position. So basically, any player who gets franchise tagged is going to be receiving the salary of a quarterback. And I don't think people realize that. I think people think it's going to drag the value of the franchise tag down, and quarterbacks are going to be abused severely by franchise tag. But no, I think the running backs wanted the high salary for everyone. Because if you think about it, it's a franchise tag. It should be for franchise players. It's a really smart idea. It shouldn't be used willy-nilly for just any old player you couldn't agree to terms with. It should rarely be used, and it should be for extreme positions of value. So, regardless of what the public sentiment is, I completely agree with the running backs on this. But I don't know if that's the solution to this problem. I think the real solution, and in fact the real problem, is compensation doesn't match production. What I mean by that is playtime and on-field production, it doesn't seem to be a factor in the rookie's salary, regardless of position, and that's causing major problems. Right now, today, you can go out and get a rookie running back, for example, Bijan Robinson, and at most, in the first 5 years, the most you're going to pay him is $6 million per year. Meanwhile, you have these veteran running backs who want $10 to $12 million a year, possibly more. So why would you ever sign a veteran running back and pay them double what a rookie's earning? And their on-field production is going to be exactly the same. It doesn't make sense. And the amount of value teams are getting out of this $6 million, or even less, for rookie running backs is crazy. And that's the real problem. So what needs to change is on-field production needs to be a factor in rookie compensation. That's the only way this problem is going to get solved. I mean, let's face it, running backs aren't leaving the league. They're used by every team. They're abused by every team, quite honestly. They have more production than slot receivers and tight ends, but they're getting paid way less. And that all comes back to rookie compensation. So yeah, to fix this problem, rookie contracts need to factor in on-field production. Then, the wage will increase for rookie running backs. There's no more loopholes where you can get a first-round rookie running back for half the cost of a veteran. And then in turn, it'll become a whole lot easier for veteran running backs to receive that second contract and get fairly compensated. But the collective bargaining agreement is agreed to by the entire players' union. There's not just a running back players' union that's going to adjust things. So this is going to be really tricky to figure out who's going to fight this fight for the running backs. I suppose on-field production could be something that's factored into all rookie contracts, but it starts to get really tricky for some of the positions, like how do you judge a right guard? Do you judge them based on pancakes? I mean, maybe it's just snaps, maybe it's playtime. If you start playing a rookie too many snaps, it's clear that he has a lot more value than just a standard rookie contract. I'm not sure how to solve this problem wholesale for all the positions, but it's clear to me that running backs are the ones being most exploited currently. I think it'll be wise for other positions to help running backs be fairly compensated, because if they're willing to exploit running backs, They're willing to exploit any position, except maybe quarterback, because that's like impossible. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you think? Do you think running backs are soon going to be extinct in the NFL? Do you think they can fix the salary issue, or running backs just screwed? Wait a minute. I forgot to mention the nuclear option. If running backs want to get this done, if they want to be fairly compensated, they have to be willing to cross the line, put some fear into the owners. After all, running backs take quite possibly the most abuse of any offensive skill position players. They could start talking about concussions and CTE. Running backs could easily talk about how many more times a running back gets tackled than any other position. I mean, some of these guys are getting tackled 20, 30, maybe even 40 times a game. That's a lot of abuse. And I'm sure there's potential increased risk of CTE from the higher level of physical abuse that running backs take that no other position endures. Running backs could easily get some studies done and talk to some doctors about what the limits should be for the amount of abuse a running back takes. Could you imagine this contract dispute getting so messy that running backs change the game of football forever? They have to institute sort of a pitch count, so you can't get hit more than 10 to 15 times a game. And as the running back approaches that, he's got to be out of the game. You got to bring in the backup. But if the running backs want to get this done, they have to make it messy like this. GMs aren't budging, owners aren't budging. They're not willing to pay the running back. So running backs have to do what's in the best interest for them and what's in the best interest of their health. That would be so crazy if they just changed the game of football forever. All because owners were too cheap to pay running backs. That's wild. So yeah, if you know a running back, share this video. I'd love to see what they think.